Hi, the following video is a January 6th investigation committee report to Congress and the witnesses that will be testifying about the January 6th events and the riot that ensued and the trespassing of the rioters.
I will now swear in our witnesses. The witnesses will please stand, raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. To understand what led the Proud Boys and other rioters to the Capitol on January 6th, we've obtained substantial evidence showing that the president's December 19th tweet calling his followers to Washington, D.C. on January 6th energized individuals from the Proud Boys and other extremist groups. I'd like to play a brief video highlighting some of this evidence.
My name is Marcus Childress, and I'm an investigative counsel for the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol.
What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists and right supremacists and right
Proud
supremacists.
Boys, stand back and stand by.
After he made this comment, Enrique Terrio, then chairman of the Proud Boys, said on Parler, "Standing by, sir." During our investigation, we learned that this comment during the presidential debate actually led to an increase in membership from the Proud Boys.
Would you say that Proud Boys members increased after the stand back, stand by comment?
Exponentially. I'd say tripled probably, with the potential for a lot more eventually.
On December 19th, President Trump tweeted about the January 6th rally and told attendees, "Be there, we'll be wild." Many of the witnesses that we interviewed
Be there!
by the president's call and came to D.C. for January 6th. They viewed this tweet as a call to arms.
So Marcus Childress, are you really saying that? How is "it will be wild" is a call to arms? Yeah, see how they were armed. They were armed with stun guns, pepper spray, a couple baseball bats, and some flagpoles, and that was the call to arms? Give me a break.
In this chat, the Proud Boys established a command structure in anticipation of coming back to D.C. on January 6th, which describes individuals occupying key buildings around the United States Capitol.
And it doesn't take a genius to figure out when they invaded the Capitol grounds and trespassed that they weren't trying to take over the government. Nobody was organizing a takeover.
Rioters had already filled the Lower West Plaza. Once the rioters infiltrated the Capitol...
Oh, there's Capitol Police.
Individuals associated with two violent extremist groups have been charged with seditious conspiracy in connection with the January 6th attack. One is the Oath Keepers.
There were 20 Oath Keepers that were indicted, and only 11 were bringing charges with seditious conspiracy.
They are a group of armed anti-government extremists.
On January 6th, they weren't armed. None of them were convicted with weapon charges.
The other group is the Proud Boys. They promote white supremacist beliefs and have engaged in violence with people they view as their political enemies.
And everything he said is true, except they didn't have very good attendance on January 6th. January 6th, there was only 5 of them, and they were all brought up on charges and convicted of conspiracy.
Members of both groups have already pled guilty to crimes associated with the January 6th attack.
So true. So the two groups make up about 25 people out of 8,000 to 10,000 protesters. And the two groups did it on their own. Donald Trump had nothing to do with their planning or what they planned to do. Now let's hear from the witness who's going to talk about his documentary that he was planning to do from the January 6th protest.
We picked up Mr. Tario from jail. He'd been arrested for carrying some magazines, some extra capacity magazines, and he took responsibility for the burning of the Black Lives Matter flag that was stolen from the church on December the 12th.
So this is January 5th, and you go to jail to pick up a Proud Boys leader, and you're looking to get an interview for him, and knowing that he's been convicted of a hate crime.
We were attempting to get an interview with Mr. Tario. We had no idea of any of the events that were going to subsequently happen.
So you picked him up and you put him in your car?
To pick up his bags from the property department of the police.
He didn't have his own car?
Just south of the mall. We picked up his bags and went to get some other bags.
You were helping them?
So at 10:30 a.m., that's early in the day. That's even before President Trump had started speaking. Am I correct? Yes, sir.
So the violent groups were already there before the Trump rally.
So how many Proud Boys would you estimate were marching together to the Capitol? A couple of hundred, potentially. Yeah, I'd say a couple of hundred Proud Boys were marching towards the Capitol at that point. At the time, was the area heavily guarded? No, that was. I remember we walked down the mall. We walked to the right of the reflecting pool, and then north along the road that leads to the Peace Circle. And as we were walking past the Peace Circle, I framed the Proud Boys to the right of my shot with the Capitol behind, and we see one sole police officer at the barriers, which subsequently breached. And you see maybe a dozen Capitol Police putting on their riot gear. Let me highlight a few key facts that you and others have provided the committee. First, there was a large group of Proud Boys present at the Capitol. We know that from multiple sources. You now estimate that there were around 250 to 300 individuals that you've testified. They
Couple
were
hundred.
there for President Trump's speech. The Proud Boys timed their attack to the moments before the start of the joint session in the Capitol, which is also where President Trump directed the angry mob, quote, "We fight like hell." He told them before
In the courts. We fight like hell in the courts.
Pennsylvania Avenue, right to where the Proud Boys gathered and where you were filming. Now, central question is whether the attack on the Capitol was coordinated and planned. What you witnessed is what a coordinated and planned effort would look like. It was the culmination of a months-long effort spearheaded by President Trump.
What a lie!
Thank you for your eyewitness account.
Stop lying. You didn't mention Trump until now. Okay, so that was pretty boring, but let's see what the Capitol Police lady has to say.
It shows the horrible moment when you were injured as the Peace Circle was breached.
Look at the Capitol Police. So there's one girl, two men trying to stop an angry mob from going into the Capitol.
There were I want to say about 5 of us on that line.
5 people.
I've worked, I can, conservatively say probably hundreds of civil disturbance events. I know when I'm being turned into a villain, and that's when I turned to my sergeant and I stated the understatement of the century. I said, Sarge, I think we're going to need a few more people down here.
It's the biggest understatement and also very good proof that the Capitol Police is totally inept and incompetent, because if they can't back up their people, what are they even doing protecting our Congress at all?
We started holding on, grabbing the bike racks. There weren't many of us, so I grabbed the middle between 2 different bike racks, and I wasn't under any pretense that I could hold it for very long, but I just wanted to make sure that we could get more people down and get our CDU units time to answer the call. So we started grappling over the bike racks. I felt the bike rack come on top of my head, and I was pushed back. We were then tear gassed.
Okay, look for the people with orange hats, bulletproof vests. There's an orange flag. Where are the weapons? Where are the guns? I don't see any guns. So it's a really bizarre thing to think that Trump has something to do with these protesters when they're instigating among themselves, and the Capitol Police is unprepared to deal with the riot. And may Liz Cheney enjoy her retirement. God bless America.